So, during Module 1, I'm going to be talking to you about the purchasing of clean vehicles. Looking at what types of options there are out there, looking at alternative fuels, the technology into the future. First of all though, I'm going to be talking to you about reducing your need for a vehicle. So to talk about reducing demand, you need to think about the hierarchy of modes. Now, walking and cycling, they sit at the top of the hierarchy of modes. Not only with walking and cycling do you save CO2, you improve the environment by producing less air quality associated emissions, you also, I don't quite like this, so this one runs on fat and saves you money, this one runs on money and makes you fat. So the sedentary lifestyle involved with driving can be countered to some extent by encouraging people to have a more active lifestyle and fitting that into your daily life. So through your general commute or through your workplace activities when you're commuting or moving around for your work, walking and cycling is normally the top of the tree when it comes to the hierarchy of modes. Some research done by the Greater London Authority showed that if you get just existing cyclists to cycle more, then the healthy years gained in a city the size of London is 3,000. And then if you get new cyclists that are similar to the current cyclists, so you're looking at those that have a lifestyle that links to the current cyclists and encourage them to cycle, so again, essentially bring them into that community, the lives saved is over 5,000. And then looking at an entirely new cyclists, broad demographic, looking at essentially what you might have in sort of the Netherlands or Copenhagen, that's when you start to get close to 6,000 deaths per year avoided because of people cycling more in a city the size of London, which is obviously 8 million or so. After walking and cycling, because it is obvious that not everyone can walk and cycle, not everyone feels comfortable, particularly in some cities, but also it's not always practical to walk and cycle. So the next one on the hierarchy of modes is always to try and use public transport where possible. So this picture here I quite like. It shows the cars associated with, I think that's sort of 60 or so people. This is the bikes, as you can see, very little room taken up, and this is a bus. So, traffic isn't around you, you are involved in the creation of traffic. So that is one of the reasons, but the other reason, obviously, the CO2 benefits of sort of communal travel in one way or another are huge. And so as your role of procurers, you should be trying to find a way of, when someone says, I want to buy a vehicle, you should be thinking, well, actually, do you need a vehicle for that job? Is there another option, potentially a pool vehicle that you have access to sometimes, but the rest of the time you can maybe have some bikes or public transit passes available for them. After that it comes into shared transport, which is car clubs, that type of thing, or pool vehicles within your fleet if you have a large enough fleet for that. And then finally thinking about the private cars, and obviously there is a job that requires each of these. There's an obvious example where you would need a private car if you're literally sitting in your car all day. It's not practical for any other mode of transport if you're travelling all over the city, all over the region, and it's not going to work. But before you just automatically give someone a private car when someone comes and asks one as a procurer, you should be thinking about what other ways this person can travel. Obviously, helicopter and private jet is the bottom of the rung. However, if you're on a local authority that can even consider that, maybe you should be asking for a pay rise or something. So the other element of that is thinking about freight. Again, it's not directly the job of a vehicle procurer to consider this, but it is something that procurement can have an impact on, so it's worth talking about here. So thinking about potentially freight logistics centres in one way or another, or thinking about how freight is consolidated so that there are less trips into the city centre for just one package being delivered, thinking about somehow consolidating it. The second thing is thinking about timing of deliveries. I mean, do you really, something that is thought about in some cities is having nighttime delivery. Obviously there's noise issues associated with that, but if there's something you can be open to, it's something that you can You can understand that during the peak hours, between sort of commuting time in the morning and commuting time in the evening, maybe having the middle of the day even can help. So considering that, considering the impact that the time that you decide to have something delivered has on congestion, therefore having on CO2 and the air quality issues associated with running a vehicle. And the other one is the rerouting of freight, to ensure that, for example, construction sites, they make sure that the big trucks that are necessary to build your city and have the economy aren't going right past the front of a school or a hospital or something like that. There are lots and lots of examples of best practice. A good place to look is Civitas. They have a great network. Another good example is on the Clean Fleet's website, looking at the Stockholm Royal Docks, for example. This is a consolidation hub for a massive redevelopment that's happening in Stockholm. And essentially all freight has to come via that hub. They can't make individual deliveries to each construction site in that area. The next thing to think about is your role in sustainable urban mobility. Now, you obviously have got such an important role to play. Potentially, you've got a key role. You can ask a lot of questions of people. Why is it that you're doing X the way that you're doing it? When someone comes and just asks you for a vehicle, why is it that they need that vehicle? That they don't just immediately say yes to it. Consider these things. So the questions you should be thinking about asking and challenging people within your company or within your local authority is, why do you need a private car at all? Do you need to use this every day? Is it maybe something you just need to use occasionally? With freight, why are you delivering everything individually? Potentially there's some scope to be able to do something really novel and interesting. Often local authorities are the places where some real innovation happens, particularly if you can get European funding for what you're planning on doing. There's a lot of material out there available to help with this, so I'm not going to talk about it too much now, but your role as a procurer is more than just buying vehicles in an ideal world.